Hi, guys. Welcome back to Kingdom Political, where we do all kinds of reactions. Today, I'm going to be reacting to a New York City resident who pours it out on New Yorkers right after this Mandami went. Okay, we're going to be listening to a gentleman by the name of Wise from a Righteous Perspective. I will put the link in the video. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. In the meantime, let's get into the video.
You ever been so motherfucking mad you had to take a walk? Seriously. Yo, seriously, it's a sad day for America. Sad day for New York. New York, you all ought to be ashamed of yourself. For real, we went from being, back in the days, we was a city of toughness and common sense, and now we the city of stupidity. Yo, we the laughing stock of the country right now. Look at us. Look at y'all. Y'all dumb because I'm leaving. But y'all dumb. Y'all just smacked everybody in the face that passed away on 9/11. Seriously, yo, that's a smack in the face to everybody's families that passed away on 9/11. Y'all are stupid. And it says that a lot of people ain't got to vote. Y'all dumb. Y'all couldn't even get up and fight for your city. So I hope y'all like what's going to happen to y'all. Seriously, me personally, I will be doing very little business in New York. If I have to go food shopping, I'm going to Jersey, or I'm driving to Connecticut. Seriously, or Pennsylvania. If I gotta get gas, I'm driving across the bridge to Jersey. But y'all will not be getting none of my tax money here. Nothing. Fuck it. Everybody should just quit and see how they get all this free shit. That ass. You know what I mean? This is crazy. This is crazy. And I see how the things going here. See, they taking this shit, they doing all this other stuff. And I see this left and right stuff. Yo, we might just take this back to the 1800s. That ass. And it's gonna be the same results. Because I see y'all idiots want to keep on doing what y'all do against this country. It is what it is. You might just take it back to the 1800s. It's definitely going to be the same results.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. A lot of people aren't happy about it. There's a lot of people that are celebrating in the streets, around it as well. What I find baffling, though, is that the voter turnout in New York City, in my opinion, was pretty low for a race that has the type of consequences, that it has. There was only 2 million people that voted. Now, they'll come out there and say, hey, it's the highest participation rate, in a mayoral contest in a long time. But still, 2 million people in one of the largest cities in America. 50% of registered voters showed up to vote.
As a New York City resident, I agree with what this young man said. Thank God, right after 2020, God led us to leave New York and to purchase a home elsewhere. And that's exactly what I did. There was an exodus, honestly, right after 2020. But I'm looking at New York as like you really just shot yourself in the foot. And I'm thinking that because it's been a while since I lived in New York, that there are 8 million people. No, there are 12 million people that live in New York City. And out of those 12 million people, only 1 million voted. What were you thinking about? What did you think that you would get? And it seems that the demographic of who voted for Mandami were young liberals, young white liberals, who don't know anything about communism, and anything about communism or Marxism that they would know, they would probably learn in college, which is something that they don't learn in college. Actually, they get indoctrinated with communist and Marxist agendas. So this is what we had out voting. What about the older Jewish people that had family members that went through the communists? What about the Cubans? I guess most of the Cubans are in Miami, but they know about communism. What about those people from Venezuela and everywhere else? How come you guys didn't get out to vote? You knew, especially city workers, you know that what Mandami was proposing was absolutely impossible. Free in a city like New York. And then you have a mass exodus right now of of billionaires that are leaving. They're leaving with their corporations as well. Most of these corporations employ the citizens of New York. What are you going to do now? Let me know in the comments. What do you think about all this? But let's continue and hear what Wise has to say.
What the heck is going on? How many people just sat it out and say, hey, not my problem? But they're going to have all types of complaints when this dude gets in office next year and starts to implement this socialist agenda that's going to affect everybody. How does 50% of voters just say, hey, I'm not voting? I'm staying out of this. How does that happen in a mayoral race, of this consequence, of this magnitude? Makes absolutely no sense. Think about this, man. This dude's going to implement free buses, city-run grocery stores. Y'all know that ain't going to work. And he wants to implement a $30 minimum wage. We'll see how that works out. How many people are going to lose their jobs behind this? Y'all see what happened in LA when they raised the rates for minimum wage? Companies, just start cutting people. Can't afford to pay the wages. This is crazy. I understand this brother's frustration. I understand it. I have a few additional clips to get into.
You live in America right now. You are going to be able to witness one of the greatest cities in American history, known as New York City, go down the drain by a socialist communist named Zoran Mamdani. Enjoy the show.
He's right. We're going to get a chance to see it firsthand. We're going to talk about it on this channel. I'm sure, for those of us that's on this side of things, it's going to give us a whole heck of a lot to talk about. But, you don't want to make fun, of the plight that there are a plethora of people are going to be in, up there in New York City. But at the same time, again, I got to go back to it and I got to say, hey, over 50% of registered voters in the city of New York didn't turn out to vote. This is crazy. So although, they had, not record numbers, but, pretty high numbers in comparison to, previous races in the past, still, yet 2 million people vote. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It doesn't make sense to me how many people just put their heads in the sand and say, whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't affect them. I just don't understand it. The local races, to be honest with you, they matter more than the national races.
And here's the thing. I've been warning people about this for the last couple of months, especially New Yorkers, because that's my hometown. That's where I was born and grew up, and it's something that the Spirit of God has been warning me about also. And we had a prophet that came by my church years ago in the 90s and talked about a Muslim takeover, that if we weren't careful, that we would have an Islamic takeover. Okay. And I'm not talking about people coming to assimilate into the culture, to do their own thing, to worship as they will and as they desire. No, we're talking about a caliphate. And I think this is why a lot of New Yorkers were probably blindsided by Mandami. And they probably still don't know. And they're not going to find out. They're going to FAFO and find out, unfortunately, in about a year or so when the gloves come off. But, this is something that they didn't really know about. How many people know about the Quran, know about the Muslim ideology, know about their beliefs about infidels, taqiyya, the ability to be deceptive and that sort of thing. But here's the thing. It was more than 50% that didn't vote. If you have 1 million people out of 12 million that only voted, then you have at least an eighth, right? Or a fourth. Somebody do the math for me, that didn't vote in this election. So if you don't vote, you can't say anything about what happens. If you don't vote for someone, then you allow whoever gets into office to rule you. Okay, that's just how I think about it. You have nothing to say about the matter. And here's the thing my aunt taught me a long time ago. She said voting is not necessarily to get the candidate that you want in, but you're going to at least vote, just like Wise is getting ready to talk about local elections, so that when you have a complaint and you need something answered, you'd be able to go to your Democrat, to your senator, to whoever's the ombudsman, to whoever's office that you need to go to present your case and say, look, I'm a registered voter. The first thing they do a lot of times is look in the rolls and the voter rolls to see who actually voted and who didn't. And if they see that you're not a voter, why should they waste time on your case? Why should they waste time on contacting Social Security for you or any other agency that you might need help with, Homeland Security or whoever it is? Okay, but I digress. Let's finish getting back into this.
Need to understand this. What's going on locally in your city, in your town, your county, that matters more than what's going on a national level. Not to say that the national level and the federal elections don't matter, but if you live in New York City, this dude is going to make policies that is going to directly affect the citizens of New York City. How do you not get out and at least have your say? Even if you lose, how do you not get out there and vote, man? I just do not get it, man. It doesn't make sense.
I'm going to say it again. The Muslim Brotherhood is using our own democracy in our countries to gain positions of power, mayors, seats in Congress, whatever. And eventually, they're going to get rid of your constitution. They're going to get rid of the right to bear arms. They're going to get rid of all your laws. And they're going to implement Sharia law. Checkmate.
Ladies, on to something. Check this video out.
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be a part of, Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah.
Is in the midst of Times Square saying this, okay? Thank God a bunch of Christians got together, and right after he did that, this was right after Mandami was voted in, right? Right after they did that, Christians swarmed 42nd Street, because there's a big church down there on 42nd Street, and they prayed and they worshiped, so they cleared the air. These aren't physical things that you're dealing with. A lot of this stuff is spiritual, and that's what you need to understand. The Bible talks about principalities, territorial spirits, and demonic spirits in high places, talking about them being in the spirit realm. You have these entities that are controlling regions and controlling people. So our fight, you have to be ambidextrous when you war against these things. And I'm not talking about a physical war. Don't get out there and physically fight. No, we're talking about going into politics, using your voice to vote righteous people in, and also using your spiritual authority to pray down these strongholds and these demonic entities that are trying to take over your way of life. Okay? It is a life and death issue now. Okay? Because if these people get their way, they're spreading the caliphate all over the United States, just like they did UK, just like they did in France, just like they did in Germany, just like they did in the Netherlands. And once they bring Sharia law in, just like that young lady said, they're going to be canceling out every other law, even your constitution. They'll do their best to do that. Okay, so make sure that you are in the place where you're exercising your legislative authority and your spiritual authority. Okay, but let me know what you think in the comments. All right, I want to thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. I will include the original video in my comments, in my description. All right, and if you choose, buy your girl a cup of coffee so that I can continue to bring videos like this. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.